everyone, today we will take you to visit the World Heritage together. This is the Palace of Versailles, also known as Château de Versailles. Château de Versailles is the former royal residence built by King Louis XIV located in Versailles, about 12 miles west of Paris in France. The Palace of Versailles, a decadent symbol of royal power and influence that, to this day, still welcomes visitors, is one of the most visited attractions in Paris. The palace offers an incredible insight into French history, illuminating the lavish and ostentatious life the former monarchs used to live. Over 10 million people visit this extravagant palace each year. After the Eiffel Towers is the most popular attraction in the country, it is the symbol of France, and this detailed visitor guide will help you avoid the crowd, learn what to see, do, and how to maximize your visit. And we so proud to present 3 highlights of Versailles. The first one is the Hall of Mirrors, the most famous room in the Paris. Was built to replace a large terrace designed by the architect Louis Lavoie, which opened onto the garden. The terrace originally stood between the king's apartment to the north and the queen to the south, but was awkward and above all exposed to bad weather, and it was not long before the decision was made to demolish it. The Lavoie successor produced a more suitable design that replaced the terrace with a large gallery following on from the victory over the 3 united powers. Depicted in the war room, the whole length of the Hall of Mirrors, 73 meters, pays tribute to the political, economic, and artistic success of France. Political success illustrated through the 30 painted composition on the walls ceiling by Le Brun, which depict the glorious history of Louis XIV during the first 18 years of his reign, from 1661 to the peace treaty of Nijmegen. Military and diplomatic victories and reform which are wills to reorganizing the kingdom are illustrating through allegories from antiquity. Economic prosperity is revealed in the number and size of the 357 million, breaking the 17 arcs opposite the window, demonstrating that the new French manufacturer could rival the Venetian monopoly on the mirror manufacturing. At that time, such items were great luxury. It was also here that the Treaty of Versailles was signed on 28 June 1919, ending the First World War. Since then, and the President of the Republic have continued to receive official guests here. And next room is the War Room. Harding Mensa started building the War Room in 1678. The decoration completed by Le Brun in 1686 pays tribute to the military victory, which led to the peace victories with of the Nijmegen. The walls are covered with marble panels decorated with 6 trophies and weapons in bronze, and the wall adjacent to the Apollo room bears an oval stucco bas-relief depicting Louis XIV on horseback, trampling his enemy. At the top of this masterpiece by Koisovox are the important sculpture East Films. And the next room is the last room. The piece room is symmetrical to wall room and contains the same marble panel decoration and shows trophy of arms in gibbons. Here, however, Laboon decorated the cupola and arch of the themes of the benefits of peace brought to the Europe by France from the beginning of Louis XIV's reign. This room was separated from the hall by a movable partition and was considered part of the Queen's apartment, constituting two final rooms after the Queen's chamber. During the reign of Louis XV, every Sunday Marie gave concerts of religious or secular music, which played an important role in musical life in Versailles and which were continued by Marie Antoinette. And next, we will talk about history of Versailles.
I will present it about the Versailles history and its construction. Versailles is a palace located in Versailles, France, and is known for its grandeur, history, and architectural beauty. The palace was originally built as a hunting lodge by Louis XXX in 60 and 24 years, but it was his son, Louis XL, who transformed it into the magnificent palace we today know. Louis XL moved his court to Versailles in 60 and 82 years, and from then on, the palace became the center of power in France. Louis XL spared no expense in turning the palace into the symbol of his absolute monarchy, and he elicited some of the greatest artists and the architects of his time to help him achieve his vision. About Versailles construction. The construction of Versailles was a massive undertaking that lasted for several decades. The palace complex into the Grand Palace, the Petit Palace, and the Grand of the Versailles. The Grand Palace is the largest part of the complex and it's comprised of over 700 rooms, including the famous Halls of Mirror. Next is the picture. The construction of the Grand Palace began in 64 years and took over 20 years to complete. The building was designed by Louis XL, who was the head architect of Louis XIV's building projects. An internal decoration of the palace was supervised, who oversaw the creation of some of the most magnificent decorative arts of the area. The Petit Palace, which was originally built as a guest house for Louis XL's brother, was constructed between 60 and 70 and 60 and 79 years. It was designed by Jules Hundred Massart and is known for its exquisite internal decoration. And the construction of Versailles was not without its challenges. The palace was built on sandy ground, which made it difficult to construct a stable foundation. Additionally, the cost of the palace was astronomical, and it is estimated that it cost an equivalent billions of dollars in today's currency. And finally, this piece is challenging. The construction of Versailles was a testament to the power and wealth of the Louis XIV's France. The palace became the symbol of the grandeur of the French monarchy, and it continues to attract visitors from around the world who come to marvel at its beauty and history.
The Louis XIV, the eldest son of King Louis XIII, was born in the Saint-Germain, Annecy, France, and his brother Philip I, Duke of the Orleans, was born in 1614. The mother was Anna of Austria in 1615, under the direction of the Queen Mother married Medici. His father Louis XIII married Princess Anna of the Spain. The Habsburgs were born in Australia, so it was customary to call Queen Anna of the Austria. In 1617, Richelieu rose to prominence against the favor of the Louis XIII, and was later made a Cardinal. Richelieu promoted the absolute monarchy in internal affairs. Richelieu died in 1642. In 1643, Louis XIII died, and on May 14, 1643, Louis XIII came to the throne, became active against and formed the singers with Princess Count, Madame Travinus, and Madame Longueville as a court. And since Louis XIV was not 5 years old when he came to the throne, the Queen Mother Anna of Australia was regent, but it was Richelieu's loyal success of Mazarin who held the real power. At this time, Mazarin was not only the prime minister and godfather of the young King Louis XIII, but also the lover of the Queen Regent. You can imagine the weight of the position. Mazarin's acceptance of government coincided with the decisive victory of the French army in the 13 years old. To meet the needs of the war, Mazarin made advances to finances in exchange for allowing them to collect taxes and state revenues. This taxman made a huge profit from it, causing the jealousy of the noble and the anger of the people.
When Napoleon Bonaparte became Emperor of the French in 1804, he considered making Versailles his residence, but abandoned the idea because of the cause of revolution. In 1815, with the final downfall of Napoleon Louis XVI, the younger brother of Louis XVIII became king, and considered returning the royal residence to Versailles, where he had been born. He ordered the restoration of the royal apartments, but the task and cost was too great. The French Revolution of 1830 brought a new monarch, Louis Philippe, to power, and a new ambition for Versailles. He did not reside at Versailles but began the creation of the Manual of the History of France, dedicated to all the glories of France, which had been used to house some members of the royal family. Emperor Napoleon III used the place on occasion as a stage for grand communions. One of the most lavish was the banquet that he hosted the Queen Victoria in the Royal Opera of Versailles on 25 August 1855. The end of 19th and the early 20th century saw the beginning of restoration efforts at the palace, first led by Pierre Donnelly, poet and scholar, and the first conservator, who began his work in 1892. The conservation and restoration were interrupted by 2 world wars, but have continued until the present day. In 2003, a new restoration entity, the Grand Versailles Project, was started, which began with the replanting of the gardens, which had lost over 10,000 trees due in Cyclone Lazer on 26 December 1999.
Architecture and plan. The Palace of Versailles is a visual history of French architecture from the 1630s to the 1780s. Its earliest portion, the Corps de Logis, was built for Louis XIII in the style of his reign with brick, marble, and slate, which Leville surrounded in the 1660s with envelope, which is an edifice that was inspired by Renaissance-era Italian villas. When Manson made further expansions to the palace in the 1680s, he used the envelope as a model for his work. Neoclassical additions were made to the palace with the remodeling of the ministers' wings in the 1770s, and by N.G. Jacobs Cavalrier and after the Bourbon Restoration. The palace was largely completed by the death of Louis XIV in 1750. The eastern-facing palace has a U-shaped layout with the Corps de Logis and symmetrical advancing secondary wings, terminating with the Dufour Pavilion on the south and the Cavalrier flanking the rear court are 2 enormous eccentrical wings that result in a facade of 402 meters in length, covered by around a million square feet of roof. The palace has 2,143 windows, 1,252 chimneys, and 67 staircases. The palace and its ground have had a great influence on architecture and horticulture from the mid-17th century to the end of the 18th century. The next one is Royal Apartments. The construction in 1668 to 1671 of Lafayette's envelope around the outside of Louis XIII's red brick and white stone château added state apartments for the king and the queen. The grand apartments include the Grand Apartment du Roi and the Grand Apartment de la Reine. They occupy the main or principal floor of the château nef with 3 rooms in each apartment, facing the garden to the west, and another 4 facing the garden parterres to the north and south respectively. The design for the state apartments closely follow Italian models of the day, including the placement of the apartments on the main floor, which is a convention the architect borrowed from Italian palace design. The King's State Apartment consisted of an affiliate of 7 rooms, each dedicated to one of the known planets and their associated titular Roman deity. The Queen's apartment formed a parallel enfilade with that of the Grand apartment, and after the addition of the Hall of Mirrors, the King's apartment was reduced to 5 rooms and the Queen's to 4. The Queen's apartment served as the residence of three queens of France, and after that, and later Louis' 14th granddaughter-in-law, Princess, occupied these rooms from 1697, which is the year of her marriage, to her death in 17.
And now I will show you how to travel to Versailles. The city of Versailles, located in the Ile-de-France region in the middle of France. Visitors can easily travel to the city of Versailles. It is the city of Paris, the capital of France. It is only like 25 kilometers from Versailles, and it is served by 2 airports. So tourists can fly to Paris airport and travel later to the city of Versailles by like taxi. From the airport, visitors can take taxi either from Charles de Gaulle Airport, which located 25 kilometers north of Paris and taking about like 40 minutes to reach Versailles. The fee is about 40 to 70 euros, or from Orly Airport, which is 14 kilometers south of Paris. Traveler will take about 1 hour to Versailles and cost by like 70 to 100 euro. And the next way that I recommend is the car or rental car. The city of Paris offers wide range of car rental service. Visitors can choose to rent a car and travel from Paris to Versailles in 45 minutes or just 1 hour. And the next way is the bus. Visitors can choose to travel by bus like 171, which runs from Pont de Sèvres stop in Paris to Château de Versailles or the Palace of Versailles. The bus runs every 15 minutes, and you guys can check it out via the app RATP applications that support both Android and iOS system. And the next popular way is metro. This is the most popular public transport service in France because the route is quite comprehensive. Visitors can choose to take either the RERC train to Versailles Chateau, Cliff Coach Station, and walk for like 10 minutes, or take the SNCF or French National Railway train to Versailles from like Chantier Station or Versailles to Cliff Duet Station. Both stations take about 20 minutes to walk to the Palace of Versailles. And also because of the Palace of Versailles is located in Versailles city center, which is not far from the city of Paris, therefore tourists are like popular from Paris to go straight to the city of Versailles. By the way, the Palace of Versailles has parking service for many tourists. And the Palace of Versailles is open to visit from Tuesday to Sunday with that service time. There will be changes according to the seasons. From November to March, will open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Versailles tickets are available for 20 euros per person. And at this price, visitors can visit to the Palace of Versailles, other palaces in the same areas, and the exhibitions on display during that period. And the Palace gardens, as well as the audio guides in multiple languages. And visitors can buy tickets online or at the ticket office in front of the Palace. The entire ticket office will cost at 4:40 p.m. like 4:40 or 50 p.m. Yes. And from now, you guys gain more information about Versailles, and it sounds interesting to visit, right? So we do recommend you guys to visit this place, and you will gain more incredible appearance from this place. And thank you for watching.